Hi, I'm Chris Madsen. Welcome to Living Love's Vision and the Process. The process is both on a unique level for each being on the planet to have an incredibly beautiful, wonderful life filled with freedom, inspiration, passion, living an incredible life where every moment is filled with the bliss and the joy and the infilling and beauty and truth, all these magical, wonderful things. And on a global level, the process is about awakening, about shifting the planet, the paradigm, what's going on the planet from what we have now into a literal paradise on Earth. At this time, that may seem like quite a grand mission to put oneself on. But the entire universe is on the same mission, love itself, the source, whatever you want to call that energy, that consciousness, that universal mind, whatever you want to call it. There is a force that is propelling us forward. And that can do all things. As a matter of fact, it is what sustains the planet, keeps it moving in its orbit, fires the sun, keeps the 70 plus trillion cells in each of our 7 billion planets on the planet, our bodies in order. There's no thing that it can't do. And that force is now propelling us into this beautiful place. Now, there is this shift that's going on the planet and emerging, and it's beautiful. Now, at the same time, any time that there's a new something, there's a tearing down of the old, and we're seeing that now. You know, in our lifetime here on the planet, we have gone through collectively more shifts than everyone prior to us on the planet. In every area you can think of, in technology, in medicine, in coming from a country and more of a county type state into a global state. Every area, even spiritually, we're shifting and moving forward. Now, at this time, we're right at a critical quantum leap in our, some people call it the evolution or the emerging, the grand awakening. Whatever it is, we are at a huge shift at this time right now. Up until now, and including right now, there is one facet of the experience on planet Earth collectively that is still in what some people term the 3D world. And that simply means the world where what we're born into and programmed and controlled in is that seems to be the norm. When we're born, we go to school, for 12 years. We all know the drill there. And that's really the programming center. And through the media, etc., we've been taught this is, how to act and what's cool, what's not cool, and that commercialism, all of these things, buy this, get this, and the TV programming. So that's the 3D world. And now the 5D world, if you want to call it that, there's, all of these things are so new in a way that there's really not terminology yet that's collectively being used. But where we're shifting to is we can say it's 5D because there is a new dimension added into this as the shift occurs. And at this point in time, the old systems are collapsing and the new ones are coming about. Now, at this time on the planet, there has been a group of people that for literally millennia, if not thousands and thousands of years, that have sought to control the entire planet. And to them, we are sheeple. They like to think of themselves as greater than us. Now, this group of people has taken control in the 3D world. All of your actions are pretty well spied on and known by them. If you send a letter, there's a photograph of that letter. If you send an email, it's documented. Wherever you've ever been on Facebook or YouTube, or every key that you type in on your keyboard, etc., all of that is known. Your banking, everything there. So there's there's this manipulation and control thing. They have set up the banking system in a way to keep us suppressed, and so that we're always in debt. We are slaves as long as we're in debt. And any new money created, this whole money system, is based on debt. That's why they keep it going where they are the ones that the debt is owed to. So, we're essentially these sheeple. We could go on and on about this. But there's a lot of other material on this. That's something you can research if you're not quite aware of this yet. Type in things like Illuminati, Bilderberg Group, how the Federal Reserve actually works. All these different things, they'll tell you that. Our focus at Living Love's Vision and the process is not about focusing on the old that's going down. It's focusing on what's being created. It's kind of like if you have a broken arm, once you know it's broken, you don't need to research it and analyze it and do studies on it, etc. What you want to do is focus on the healing of it. And that's what we're doing. So there is part, though, of like, say, for instance, if you have a broken arm, you want to know, okay, it's broken right here, so then I can do this. And so the only degree that we want to focus on in the 3D world of what's going on is where we are being suppressed and enslaved and dictated to by them. For example, GMO foods and the whole Monsanto type groups, they are not there to make life easier and better and more healthy for us. They're there to make a profit and control us. So, it's good to be aware of that. Smart meters, they're not there just to read your meter. They have way more sinister attributes to them. And so as awakened beings and living on the planet, we want to be aware of these things. Now, speaking of these things, it's real easy to get into anger mode when we see what's going on. And, rightly so, people are protesting and doing all sorts of things. And I, too, want a better world. I want a world where, for instance, the food supply is mainly local grown, organic, grown within 100 miles or so, and just a, beautiful, vibrant, living food as our food supply. And so that's what I do, is I support that. For instance, I have an app on my iPhone that if I'm in a store, I check it to make sure that, the company does not support GMO, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot we can do. As a matter of fact, that is on a cultural level what the process is being aware of what the old systems are and creating new ones. For instance, gasoline and the whole oil industry. We know that there is free energy devices. We know that there's ways of having it so that we're not slaves to these power grids and whatnot. And so whatever we can do to facilitate that as part of the process and on the cultural level, that's what we do. And so now the only power that the Illuminati and these corporations, remember the corporations, they also run the governments, which run the militaries and things like this. So, we're talking this huge net around the planet. And the only power they have is the power that we give them. And people around the globe are waking up to this. That's why you're seeing big protests and whatnot in different areas. Recently there was in Brazil and Turkey and Egypt, different places like this. I'm sure they're going to continue because we are waking up. And this waking up is the process. And now we have the power, and individually and collectively, to bring about this world that I was initially talking about, a paradise on earth. And in your personal life, here and now, not in the future, today, here, right now, starting, you can have a glorious life, a life of freedom, of living in your true, authentic being, rather than the programmed, hypnagogic state that we were brought up in, telling you what you should be, do, and act, and what career you should have, and what you need to own, and all of these different things. You can move from that into this beautiful place and connecting with the source that truly does supply in every moment, in every way. And so in the next step, we're going to discuss and show the different levels of consciousness and how to transform from the 3D to the 5D aspects of life. And so with that, here we go. Now, there are different levels of consciousness, and what I mean by that, it's not so much, a person going to sleep and then waking up. That's a different type of consciousness. A person that is totally unconscious in the world would be a person that is totally into the 3D world, that believes, they're not even thinking believes, they're just in cause and effect mode every day of their life. A person like that, they could read in the paper 1,000 people die in earthquake, and it's just, so what? They're not in touch with other people's feelings. A type of person like this, an unconscious person, it's almost like a shark swimming in the ocean, where they're just, they're out to eat and take care of themselves. They're not thinking cultural or how is this affecting someone else. And we see characteristics of people like this pretty well every day. This type of person will lie, cheat, steal, do whatever, and they don't even really have to justify it to themselves. It's just like, dog eat dog world, and this is what we do. There's corporations like this, and a sad part of that is that generally that type of unconscious person rises to the top of corporations, giving a lot of problems that we do have in the world. The next up from unconsciousness would be a person that they're unconscious, but they're moving in an ego, a place of I am better than everybody else, and I must prove that how great I am. Look at me in my fancy sports car, and I own this, and it's all an ego thing. And then the next phase up is where that's going on, but there's an inner pole. There's something in them that almost like a guilt or something that's awakening in them. It's like, whoa. That often happens with a person that's moving in unconsciousness and ego as they get a bit older, when they realize that these things don't really fulfill a person. The next kind of phase up from the inner pole would be kind of a cocoon phase, where a person they're more mellower, a little bit more mellow. They're still governed by the consciousness and the ego, and with a bit of inner pole, but there's something else. They're more open. They're a bit more available. They may read a book on self-improvement or something. They may even participate in a group that's for the environment or something like that. Then the next stage up from that would be a person that's conscious. Now, a conscious person is a person that they're aware. Like when you're talking with them, you can tell that they want fairness, and they're aware that things like justice means something to them, and that their integrity, like a characteristic of a conscious person, is they have more integrity than a person that would be unconscious. Now, in these different stages here that we're talking about, very seldom is a person just in one stage or phase. They're generally, like, for instance, a person moving in ego may have still a fair amount of unconsciousness about them, but in certain aspects of their life, they may have already gone through more of an inner pole and cocoon and conscious phase. Now, the next phase up from consciousness can be called awakened. Now, an awakened person, where it's different than a person that's simply conscious, is an awakened person is more aware, and the more awakened they are, the more aware they are that the appearance of what is not really what is. On one way, and like for instance, the quantum physics level, they're aware that everything is energy, and so that energy it has an appearance of being solid, but there's more to it. And in that very same sense, an awakened person is aware that there are all these universal laws that interplay, and that we're not isolated from, that we can actually use these universal laws to create things. And also that there is, beyond even that, a power, a source, a consciousness, a divine intelligence. I'm hesitant to use the word God, because as soon as I do, that brings all the old programming up. Now, a person that is religious, they could be at any one of these different levels. They could be right from unconscious through to a conscious, awakened, or even an avatar. So religion has very little to do with what we're discussing here. Beliefs is something that we'll get into soon. Now, a conscious person may or may not believe in a quote-unquote God. Same with an awakened person. But what they know to be true, though, is, one, all of this is energy and there is a consciousness. There are universal laws that are never broken. And then as an awakened person, you realize that it's almost like behind the scenes, there is this force that is propelling towards something, this emerging, beautiful flowers and the balance of everything. These things didn't just happen from some big explosion. This is all in order, and there's a divine connection with it. An awakened person has learned how to connect with that power, and in doing so has become completely free. Now, the next phase up, and this is about as far as I can grasp in my imaging, would be avatar. Avatar is a person, and we've seen quite a few on the planet come and go so far. Jesus Christ, Buddha, Krishna, different people like this. And avatar is one that is so connected with this awakened power that I'm talking about, that they are it. They are so. Another name would be self-realized. They are there. The Christ consciousness could be a name for it. Remember, Jesus's last name was not Christ; it was his state of being. He was Christ consciousness, or Christ, and he himself, as the other avatars have said, is that greater things than I do and what you're seeing me do, you can do. It's available to all of us. So how far in this lifetime and in this incarnation can we go? That's completely up to us individually, where we end up in this. So the stages that I'm listing here of unconscious, ego, cocoon phase, an inner pole phase, then a conscious phase, an awakened phase, avatar. Now these are terms that I've come up with myself. You could probably make your own list, and I'm sure others have made their own lists that are equally valid. It's not so much the wording, but the state of being that we're talking about. Right from totally unconscious person that basically they just go through life trying to take, and they have moments of pleasure, and it's all based on worldly things, right up to more of an avatar, awakened person that lives a completely different type of life. So those are the stages of the emerging of one's soul. And now, hopefully within you now, there are many more questions than there are answers. It's like, are we born at these? What level are we born at? Is it environmental? Does karma have something to do with this? etc., etc. All of those things are valid questions. Now, the most important question, though, is how do I become that at the stage that I choose to be at? And hopefully you would choose to be Avatar, because that's your true calling. That's why we're on the planet. And the next step here, the next chapter, we're going to discuss that. How do we actually connect with this? How do we shift through these different phases? There is something I like to call the infinite sea of potential. And this is very, very real. It's not some new age term or something. We are literally in an infinite sea of energy. And as we all know, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It simply changes forms. So it's like, picture like if you had clay. We'll just say you had magic clay. And that with this magic clay, whatever you thought, it popped out of it. It coalesced into form. It's kind of like that. What it is there's this infinite sea of potentials, or what you could say it's unmanifest. It's waiting to be called into being. Now, literally everything that is came from no thing. It came from this sea of potential that I'm talking about, this infinite sea of energy. Literally everything. And let's say a cup. So a cup, somebody had an idea, hey, I want a vessel to hold water. And so we'll say it's a potter, a clay cup. They went and they manifested the clay, and then they made it and fired it. So it came from a thought, in other words. A song, any artwork or anything. It comes from the no-thingness and then coalesces into form. On a macro level, it's the same thing with bodies and stars and planets, the sun itself, the earth, the oceans, the fish, flowers, trees. All of this came from this same infinite sea of potential coalescing into form. And now this is an incredibly beautiful thing to know, because there are also universal laws that govern what occurs with this infinite sea of potential. And if you're meeting the conditions of these universal laws, then things come into form. In life, there could be said that there's two different types of people. One that totally doesn't use this or know anything about it, even in their subconscious or their day-to-day. Those people could be called victim. And then there's other people that, whether they call it, have a name for it or anything, they use it constantly, and those people could be called creators. It's kind of like electricity. Whether or not you know how electricity works, put this positive with this negative and hook it up here, it really doesn't matter. As long as you're making the connection, it's going to work. And it's very similar with this. So a person that is in more of a victim consciousness, this person, they're in the world and they're constantly reacting to what's coming in their 5 sense in this 3D world. So if they're getting broke, they'll be looking in the paper for a job, things like this. Whereas on the other side of the spectrum, a person that's in touch with the creator part, knowing that everything comes from the infinite sea of potential, that person, chances are, the last thing they'll be doing is looking in the paper for a job. They'll be manifesting something from this infinite sea of potential. And if they're good at it, they'll manifest things that make it so that they create a system so that they're not really working it once the system is created. But yet the cash flow continues in. Now, in life, how we're talking about victim creator, we'll say victim is black and creator is white. There's a zillion shades of gray in between. And we can be at different areas or aspects of this spectrum in our lives. You might be really good at creating, say, in an art form, but really don't have it together at all in the world of finances or something like that. Or you could be really good at in the area of finances. Whatever you do, it just turns to gold. You've got this eye for entrepreneurial things, and you're just right there. But yet your relationships suck, and you don't really have any sort of interpersonal connections with people. So you're a victim in that area. Now, through the infinite sea of potential, well, we could use whatever words we want. Again, it's one of these things where there's no official words for a lot of these things, but I'm sure there will be over time. In this infinite sea of potential, as I like to call it, you get to manifest. That is how you come into the fullness. This is, say, for instance, say a person is they're unhealthy, they're overweight, and they have a really lousy diet. They really don't know much. They basically, they don't know much about nutrition and stuff, so their lifestyle is quite a poor one as far as health goes. And so they're suffering from poor health. Now, if that person visions vibrant health, and then they come up with a vision within themselves of, I am this vibrant health. Now, they don't automatically just boom, they're Charles Atlas, Mr. Olympic person. What's happening is in this infinite sea of potential, they're creating what could be called a mental equivalent of that. And so, but that mental equivalent of the vibrant, healthy body, that is actually an energy form, like that clay we're talking about, that is now coalescing it into form in this 3D world, in this case, within their body. So what will happen is, and this is the next crucial aspect of this manifesting and getting into the abundant fullness of life in these areas of having your life being free, vibrant health, wealth, all these things, is the conditions have to be met. There's a saying that you don't plow a field just by plowing it over in your mind. There's an action component. Now, so this very same person will say that, so they're visioning now, they've sent this mental equivalent within their mind, so now it's in the universe as a seed. So now what the universe, this infinite potential, what it will do is it will show the person, these are the steps for you to take now to manifest this. In other words, this is how you meet the conditions. And so this person will be guided towards, okay, I'm going to exercise now every day. I'm going to eat organic, vegetarian. I am going to change my thought patterns and my lifestyle. So there's a shifting of the person's lifestyle. They're meeting the conditions for this vibrant health. And so within our lives, we are not victims. We can be creators. The system that is used is recognizing within the infinite sea of potentials, we as creators can call into being whatever we want. How much can we call into being? It's infinite, because we're dealing with infinite energy. Now, there are rules though. One is the universal laws must be obeyed, and two, the conditions must be met for these universal laws to come into effect. We'll say, for instance, I want in my backyard lights going around, say solar lights going around the perimeter of the property. So I vision that, and then so now I start thinking, oh, yeah, hey, maybe on the fence posts, that would be really cool. And then so what is then, of course, my part in this is to go to the hardware or wherever and select and then have them installed, you know. And then so a person could say, well, what if you don't have the money to go do that? Well, here we go again. Money is energy. And so, again, money works within this whole thing as much as anything, because it's just another form of exchange. It's an energy. And there is so much to be said about this. You know, we could go on and on and on and on. And fortunately, many people do. There's lots of good books and things. A couple important things here is, one, you don't get what you want simply because you want it. You get what you are holding the mental equivalence of within your mind. So if you're believing that you are a slave to the system and you're a victim in all of these things, that's what's going to be your experience. If you believe that you are a co-creator with the universe and that within this infinite sea of potentials, the entire universe will follow your vision, then it will. It's kind of like if you had a mountain up in the sky, it's going to fall to earth with gravity just as easily as a little pebble would. It doesn't matter the size, because it's the universal law that we're working with here. There is a good example of what I'm saying here. For thousands of years, people literally were in the dark. They didn't have the use of electricity. And so what that meant is they had to have fires, candles, and they didn't have any of the benefits of electricity. So, they didn't have electric hot water tanks or dishwashers or any of these type of conveniences that most of us take for granted. Now here's the thing though, electricity was always there. Throughout all periods of history, electricity was there. It was just simply in potential form. Nobody had accessed that power yet. And it's exactly the same thing what I'm talking about. There is a power. You can access it, and you access it through your visioning, that aspect of your being that knows, that imagines things. Like if I say the color yellow, you can, all of a sudden that color can pop up in your mind from that no thing place. That some people, I guess, would call it the subconscious. I call it the imagination, or the universal mind. Whatever you want to call it, it's there, it works, and you can use it. When a person is moving in an unconscious stage or the ego stage and the cocoon stage, there is a sense of separation from the source, from this love, from this universal mind that I'm talking about. And because of that, if they are to vision and go to this infinite sea of potential, this magic clay, if you will, and manifest, where they want to manifest from is this place of ego and unconsciousness. And so they're going to try to mold things into what they believe is going to bring pleasure to them. Personal wealth, like fancy houses and cars and long trips, things like this. Now, those things, they seem nice, but an awakened, conscious person places very little value on the things of this world like that. And the reason is because they, unlike the unconscious and unawakened person, they recognize they are not separate from source, that there is this infinite supply, and that they are totally connected in every moment. This stream going by here is a perfect example of that. We could say that throughout our life, there's this infinite flow that we can draw from as much as we want. And in that flow, there's what true wealth really is. True wealth could be defined in many ways. One very essential aspect of it, though, is every moment of life being filled with this incredible beauty, wisdom, truth, just this flow, like the stream, only flowing through you is peace and serenity and just such a bliss, a gratefulness for every moment of life, and to be present and present in each moment of life. That is true wealth. And that's what an awakened person has learned to draw from, is this stream, if you will. Now, possessions themselves, if you'll notice that a person that has a lot of possessions, what's on their mind most of the time is things dealing with this possession. Chances are they've got a business that they're forever focusing on, and they're stressed about it, and competition, and they're worried how it's doing, and so their time is being robbed, and also their thought space and their emotional space. And so in truth, what they were really trying to obtain through possessions and wealth has actually been robbed from them. Now, a conscious person, in their connection with source, with this flow that I'm talking about, they also meet the conditions for real wealth. And part of real wealth is freedom. Now, freedom doesn't just mean sitting on a beach all day, all the time and not doing anything. Matter of fact, that in itself would be a form of hell after a while. What real freedom is recognizing and being awakened to what your passion and your inspiration is, and then being in alignment with that and fully expressing through that. That is real freedom. A person that is passionate and inspired, chances are there's a lot of times that they don't even want to go to bed at night because they're just so, this beautiful flow is over them. And but yet there's a certain non-attachment to outcomes, knowing that love itself is the true outcome. Now, here is a bridge, and I would like to use this bridge as a symbol, as well as this wishing well behind me here. Now, think of the wishing well as being what you really want, or that which meets the conditions for you personally, yourself, to have this full life that I'm talking about. Now, fullness of life is not determined, or it's not, you can't equate it to possessions, as we were just discussing. Now, although an aspect of it is we are in the body temple, and so the body temple has requirements, food, shelter, clothing, and whatnot. And those are aspects to bless us again, to make our journey fun and exciting. I love a good organic meal. I love going out, enjoying nature, and then coming back to where I live, and it's just a beautiful flow. It doesn't mean I have to have this big mansion on the shoreline. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't want one, and this is why. It's because it's more stuff I got to take care of and think about. I have all the shoreline and mountains and valleys that I could possibly want, and I don't even have to mow the lawn on them or anything. In other words, all of those things that we really want, they're already there. So the bridge, think of that as love. And we know that love in this sense, it's not the romantic or whatever. It's really the propulsion, the emerging, the life force itself. It's that which the first cause of everything, that created this stream and the flowers and this grass and the trees and the sky and our body temples. That is love. That which did that, the heart of that is love. It wants thriving. It wants us to be in the perfect environment. It has created everything, all the conditions required for paradise on earth and for us to have beautiful lives. And so now how do we get that? Is love itself is the bridge to that. Now the wishing well can be thought of as everything that does bring fulfillment and the perfect life. All the inspiration, the passions, the visions, the perfect path for you at any time is in this well. And so all you have to do is drink from this well. And now to get to this well, love is the bridge. And so if you don't go over the bridge, you're kind of like stuck you're not meeting the conditions. And so it's surrendering where you are, any aspects of your being that are moving in a consciousness, an ego, and a belief in separation. Releasing all that and walking on the bridge of love, and then drinking from this well. Staying on that side. You see, there's fear are aspects of unconsciousness and the ego stages. Love are aspects of the awakened and conscious phases. And it's said that either fear or love is dictating people. And really that's just another way of saying separation, a belief in separation, that the well isn't there for them, or else the beautiful awakened place of not only knowing the well is there, but in every moment of life drawing from it. So love is the key, this surrendering to love itself. Anytime I'm not sure what to do, I ask the question, what would love do now? And love itself always gives the answer. In every moment of your life, it's an opportunity to transform that moment of life into an expression of love. Every aspect of your being is ready to meet the conditions of love by your simply saying yes. Now, all of the suffering that's going on this planet, the beliefs and separation and everything else, it's caused by us collectively not crossing the bridge, not moving into love. And so for every person that does, their personal life is then fulfilling the process, and that they are arriving into this beautiful place. A person arrives the moment they say yes and allow in this present moment the love to infill them. Now, arrival isn't just a stasis. It's not like you're walking on a trail and then now you're at a bench and you just sit there. True arrival is continual journey. It's not just a place of, okay, I've arrived now I'm here. Part of the arrival is ever emerging more and more deeply into this love, into expressions of it. It's such a beautiful thing. And so, in this moment, I invite you to cross this bridge within your mind. We're going to be discussing the process in a deeper level now. And know this, though, that if you only hear anything in life, it's know that this stream is very real, this stream of love, all the beauty, your every aspect of your requirements on your journey here are flowing and are here now. And it brings all of the things on the 3D realm that are part of our expressions of fulfillment. Beautiful relationships, incredible, vibrant health, true wealth, true living in every moment to the fullest, with inspiration and passion, touching lives in beautiful ways. No longer a slave to the old programming and systems. And in true freedom, and with the keys to freedom that you give to others. Wow. The process is about assisting people transition into this higher awakened place of consciousness. For the planet to have paradise on earth, and for an individual to have paradise on earth in their own life, requires going through this process, going over the bridge. And pretty well everyone that I know, they're caught up in the 3D world. And what that means is they were born into this. We've been born into this systems, the banking systems, debt and commercialism, and a lot of vestiges from the whole 50s and all of these 60s. Every decade seem to have its own Klingon mind viruses and things attached to it that are still on the planet. And so we could think of this as if you're on a stream or a river, sometimes you'll see an eddy, a pool of water, and it just keeps swirling in there. And like if you put a stick in there, it just keeps twirling around and around. And now that's like our lives. We were born, figuratively speaking, in this pool, this eddy, where it just keeps going on and on. And so you wake up in the morning, it's, you're still in the same world, so you do the same things. And so what you want to do is break free from that eddy. You want to get back into the stream, into the real river, or as we're saying, over the bridge. And now the process is that it's the mechanism, the modalities, the ways to get out of the unconscious ego phases and in the 3D realm of this world into the 5D realm. And now we're discussing visioning. On a deeper level, we are in a universe of feeling, of thought, of an energetic resonance universe. And so to get out of this eddy, this way here, it's like your life is energetically connected with all of these things around you. And if your beliefs are telling you, and if you're only relying on the 5D or the 5 senses, then what's going to happen is you're going to live your life in this eddy. But you don't have to do that. That's the awesome news. And that's our way out of this mess on the planet right now. And so it's all about visioning, having that inner feeling, that inner knowing. And that automatically, it's kind of like a magnet. Like if you had a magnet here, we'll say this hand here is a powerful magnet, and you had another magnet over here, and you are like stuck on this magnet, we'll say. The less power this magnet has, and the more power this one has, the more likely it is that you will attract over to here to this magnet. So if this magnet loses all its power, then boom, the conditions are met and you're in this beautiful paradise type situation. And so how we lose the magnetism or the power of the old senses is don't give it energy. Number one, don't give that energy, give this the energy in your life. So hold the visions. And now it's a process because we've been so programmed and conditioned to believe that, we have to go work hard, and, if you're real lucky, you might be able to retire when you're sometime in your 60s or something like that. And that life has got lots of, bad things with the good. You just have to accept it. And, all of that stuff. That's mind viruses. That's over here. Now, love itself is another thing we could say, an aspect of love is really what you really, really, really want. It's like if you were omniscient, supreme, and had a complete overview of all things that you could possibly be on the planet. Love's vision of your life is what you would really want. That you go, I pick me, that's me. So really what we're doing is by surrendering and yielding into love, going over this bridge, is you're really surrendering and yielding to that life which is your highest good, which serves you the best, which creates the conditions for all of these things we're talking about: true wealth, vibrant health, beautiful relationships, etc., etc. A life where every moment is just, oh, thank you. And so at Living Love's Vision is an organization that has flowed through me in the process of me doing the process, that has now coalesced into a beautiful way of us getting over that bridge of transitioning from the 3D to this 5D, getting out of the pool, the eddy of, you know, the 3D world. And that includes the financial aspects, because, you know, money is energy. It represents our survival, our food, shelter, clothing, you know. And so, of course, if those things are not met, you know, we're in survival mode, right? But through the process, it transitioned us from the survival mode of trying to be over here, you know, in that magnetic field. When we're in this magnetic field here, it does the providing for us. It's like we're being done by. It's the money flows, the energy flows, the lifestyle, the projects, it's bliss. It's also, it's transitioning the entire world, because as within, so without. As your life transitions into this resonance of love, so does the entire planet. And so at Living Love's Vision, what we are doing is workshops, retreats, anything that gets it so that all the cells of the body of man are transitioned into this beautiful place, that we've all gone over the bridge. And so as you transition into this beautiful place, at Living Love's Vision, we want you to join with us, become a teacher, become a workshop coordinator, become whatever it is that seems to resonate with you, wherever love, after you've gone over the bridge, what love is calling you into being. You may want to be a practitioner working with us. You may have new modalities of helping people get over the bridge, so to speak. We are all ears, because there are as many aspects to the process as there are people on the planet. Now, in my daily activities, I'm making CDs, DVDs, things like that, for instance, because it's all about transitioning, reforming the thought, feeling, images within a person. What I do is that in my own life, of course, but I'm making whatever products I can to assist people with that, so that when you're driving in your car or doing your housework, you can be listening to things that actually demagnetize the 3D and bring you into this realm. And of course at the workshops as well. And with that, thank you for doing your part. If you watch this video, that means that it wasn't a chance. You were supposed to hear this message at this time. Now, as this video ends, whatever charge the 3D world has on you please, please, please don't just let this message fall into the nothingness and be stuck over here in unconsciousness, ego, and attracted in beliefs of separation, and that you have to work hard for living all that. Take this message to heart and go to the Living Love's Vision site. Come to a workshop. Spread this. Get groups together. Organize. Become one in this beautiful energy. And listen to all and check out all we have to offer at the Living Love's Vision site. Thank you. Together we're going to make paradise on earth, one being at a time. There's a world within your heart, understands we're all one, so come on. This world's begun. Come on, and shine your light with everyone.